Hermann Goering saying, "I decide who is a Jew." I'm pretty sure not everyone he said that person is a Jew was in fact Jewish, but how do you label that death? There's room for disagreement over that. There's room for argument over the precise numbers. But what isn't open for disputation, at least not on the evidence put forward by the other side, is that the Holocaust did happen. But anyway, so systematic mass slaughter, and then we're talking about a genocide. So a genocide is the deliberate and systematic extermination of a national, racial, cultural group. And it doesn't take a great deal of research to figure out that the word systematic means done or acting according to a fixed plan or system. Methodical, its synonyms are structured, methodical, organized, orderly, planned, systematized, regular, routine, standardized, standard, things of that nature. So it would be nonsensical to talk about a genocide that happened that wasn't planned. You can't accidentally genocide. You can't accidentally organize the mass slaughter of lots and lots and lots of people. Now, Orrini doesn't deny, at least such that I take it, he doesn't deny the existence of all these dead people. He just posits that there are alternate explanations, famine and disease being among them. So if you walk into a room on a smaller scale and you see one living person and one dead person, from that bare fact alone, you can't infer that the person who is alive killed the person who is dead, let alone murdered the person who is dead. I mean, he could have killed them, but it could have been a self-defense. The person who is dead could have been suicide. It could have been natural causes, old age, starvation, disease. He could have been murdered by someone else. So it's not a logically necessary inference to draw the fact that one person is dead and one person is alive near them, that the person who is alive has killed the person who is dead. For example, cops, you don't automatically infer that they've murdered the person or killed the person if you see the two in a room. A doctor, a paramedic, you don't automatically draw that inference. A pathologist, you don't draw that inference. So it's logically permissible for a person to be dead in the room with another person, and for those two facts not to be related in any causal sense with relation to the person's death. Now, no one would give me a pass. No one would think that it's exculpatory if I kidnapped a child, locked it in a room, and sealed off all the air outlets, and then the child suffocated. No one would think I would be exculpated if I stood up in court and go, "Well, I didn't kill the person. It suffocated." No one would think that I would be exculpated if I, same people's, I don't know, maybe an adult this time, I locked them in the room and then I didn't feed them for months until they starved to death. So when someone like Orrini says there are these other things that are explanations for all the corpses that are really hard to deny exist, he brings up famine. This doesn't exculpate the Nazis in particular because of things like Plan Oldenburg. If you want to know more about it, look up something like Goering's Green Folder, which was argued about during the Nuremberg trials. It was part of Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, to engage in what was called Plan Oldenburg, which was starving millions and millions of people to death. They estimated they could starve to death tens of millions of people in this way, and between the summer of 1941 and February of 1942, they had managed to starve to death 2.5 million Soviet prisoners of war and Soviet Jews. Now, the starving to death of people is a little bit harder than you might think it is. Oh, by the way, some of them were direct. They locked them in camps and just didn't give them food and starved them that way. And then others were more indirect. They made it unlawful for Jews to buy milk product, dairy products, animal products, wheat, vegetation. Essentially, they made it unlawful for them to buy pretty much all kinds of food. It should therefore not be any great realization to figure out that as a result of that, many of them died from not having food. They also made it illegal for people to sell them food or to provide them food. So I guess whatever they couldn't just scrounge up on their own was given to them illegally. Or anyway, many tens of thousands of people died that way. Millions died that way. Starving people to death is not a viable method of execution or killing them in all parts of the land. It's easier to